everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be talking about the new Proud Family reboot, Louder and Prouder. Now, personally, I'm not a huge fan of the show. I'm not against it or anything. I just didn't like how it turned out. I think they're trying to adapt essentially the original, but it had a lot of the flaws that it has today is the same flaw that most political figures have today as well. And it's the oversimplification of the issues of today and the issues of racial inequality and all that. And now I'm not going to get into all that because of the fact that I'm not a political person. Now I know about politics. I don't ignore it. I pay attention, and I simply just am not that interested. Now when it comes to this show, oftentimes, from what I can tell, it looks like they're trying to preach a message that is not well balanced. It's very much against people who are not of color, which I can't stand that. I personally, if you've watched the original Proud Family series growing up like I have, the original Proud Family series tackled elements of racial inequality, racial bigotry, and all that. And they did it well, though. There was a nuance to it that captured it in a way that had heart. It had a way about it that was positive, affected real change in a way that you'd only see in things like it highlighted the history of how it all started. It did it in a way that was honorable. It did it in a way that focused on true characters of, like, real characteristics of what was going on, actual struggles. It didn't focus on things that were so petty, so pointless as what they've shown in the recent episodes. I'm gonna look at this article that I found recently, actually talking about it in a more in-depth way on bounding into comics. One moment. So on Bounding into Comics, it talks about it in a more in-depth way. This article is written by Jacob Smith. It was written on February 6, 2023. It says, last year, executive producer for Disney television animation Latoya Ravanaugh admitted that Disney's Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, was responsible for grooming your children with LGBTQ propaganda. And this year, the show is back to groom your children with racial division in Season 2. So if you're not familiar with the name Latoya Ravanaugh, you should be. She is the woman who last year, in a Disney staff meeting, admitted to an agenda to groom and propagandize your children. This is the problem that I have with a lot of the media that they have today, and it's that everyone's trying to groom people. Now, as a Christian, many people will tell me that I'm grooming people because I groom children because I focus on teaching youth and teenagers and such about the Word of God. And you know, I understand why they do that. The reason why is because they think that Christianity in itself is some kind of cult mentality. And there's some people who treat it that way. Sure, I've met Christians who are extremists, who are a bit much. They don't even follow things biblically. Oftentimes, they actually are just after your money. And essentially, that's what you're going to see here with Disney. Disney is not actually trying to teach anyone good standards of living. And they're not trying to actually preach a good message. And that's what's different between Christianity and this agenda that is being pushed by Disney and Hollywood in general. Disney television animation producer went on record admitting how she has turned the studio into her own personal pocket to insert as much LGBT content as possible. In my little pocket of Proud Family, this is a quote from her. In my little pocket of Proud Family Disney TVA, the showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda, she declared. Maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess something must have happened in the last that they are turning it around. They're going hard, and then, like all momentum that I felt, that sense of I don't have to be afraid to have these two characters kiss in the background. I was just whatever I could. I just basically adding queerness. If you see anything queer in the show, no one would stop me, and no one was trying to stop me. This is a video clip. I'm not going to play it, but it's there. You can find the article on Bounding into Comics. And following these comments, the show was not only renewed for a second season at Disney, but they also announced that Ravano would now be a director of the then upcoming second season of the series, alongside Rudy Bloss and Tara Nicole Whitaker. This is the character that I couldn't stand. It was just so irritating. It really felt like a parody of a lot of the internet people who are on like TikTok and all that. And yes, I said internet people. Anyway, the series was originally a reboot of The Proud Family, a Disney Channel animated cartoon from the early 2000s that had a strong following with African American audiences over 20 years. I'm going to tell you this. I actually never had a lot of friends that I had that were African American, which they're just my friends. I'm just going to say that. They essentially didn't really care too much about the show. They were more about video games and wrestling, really. They really loved wrestling and football. They were all about sports and all that stuff. When it came to animation, they mostly preferred superhero shows and things of that nature. And this particular series, the only reason they started watching it is because I watched it and other people that I knew watched it. I had a lot of different friends from many different cultures, and many of them watched it because it was fun. No one cared about the whole African American part because it just simply reminded, a lot of the characters reminded me a lot of the friends that I had growing up, actually. And this particular iteration, the reboot, I don't see how any of these people are real. A lot of these characters feel like parodies of actual people. Like complete parodies, and not in a funny way, just irritating way. And I know I'm being a little bit harsh here, but personally I just don't like the fact that they're introducing these things in a kids show. In 2021, Disney rebooted it to feature two gay dads, voiced by Zachary Quinto, okay, and Billy Porter, who are the adopted parents of a 14-year-old anti-Trump social justice activist. I think I actually skipped this episode. I didn't watch the whole thing because it was so irritating to watch every episode. It was not really worth the time. So to continue, the second season of the show premiered on Disney Plus last Wednesday, just in time for Black History Month. And the show decided to turn up its propaganda to an 11. The show is still attempting to groom children into the LGBTQ community, especially in episodes directed by Ravano, but the writers are also aiming for racial division between blacks and whites in its children's show. Yeah, that's the thing that I don't like. And this particular thing, encouraging people to protest against police because of some arbitrary thing, it's just so pointless. A statue that seems racially motivated. The issue is, people are often honored in history, even whenever they are not the best. No one is perfect, and people oftentimes committed racial atrocities that should be punished. But they're not honored for that. They're honored for the simple fact that they did something great. And that's what history is about. Now, mind you, there are some statues I think that should be removed, but never do damage to public property, and never do harm to police. And if police are keeping you away, then it's because they have the right to do that. Multiple viral clips of the episode entitled Juneteenth have spread on the internet, showing that the cartoon has gone all in on the racial or the radical left-wing agenda. I'm not even going to talk about this. This is ridiculous. it's just in this episode, Maya, who is the young activist in the show, discovers that the founder of Smithville, California, where the show is located, was a slave owner. So they literally just did this on purpose, because they could have made it a black guy who was the founder of the town. Many people who were black founded communities or had land and did things that were amazing back then. This actually kind of is a slap in the face of actual history and people who are black. They could have just made that up. They didn't have to make this an issue, but they made it an issue for children so that they can. I can't even get into that. That's just too much. So after questioning her white teacher about the true history of Smithville, the show teaches kids that the Emancipation Proclamation only applied to the Confederate States, stating that Union border states were not required to abolish slavery. So they just make up stuff now. That's all they're doing now. They're just making up history. This is how the show tries to make sense of the fact that a state like California, which was established a few years before the Emancipation Proclamation and has no direct ties to Southern slavery, could even have a slave owner as a founder. The show pushes the radical ideology of critical race theory that teaches children that America was founded to enslave black people, not to establish a sovereign nation outside of Britain. The show continues to make the case for critical race theory, claiming that the way history is told is broken, as it whitewashes the origin of slavery. Oh, okay. The show continues when Maya leads a protest against the legacy of the town. Maya's black father is seen yelling at his white husband. It says, "Do something with your white privilege," as police officers arrive to arrest the kids. The propaganda doesn't stop there. Another clip of the show shows the kids performing a spoken word poem entitled "Slaves Built This Country," that falsely claims after the Civil War and this entire civil rights movement, America still hadn't atoned for its sin of slavery. The scene is an outright denouncement of the United States of America, made to inspire kids to hate American values and its white founders. I can't stand this. Personally, I've always grown up with the concept of honoring your country. Every kid that I knew, even I wanted to be a soldier growing up. It's something I always wanted to do, but I'm not sure if I have the temperament for that kind of work. When it comes to these things, I feel that people need to understand that America may have had its flaws, and it may have its struggles, and to overcome certain things in history, yeah, there were many bad issues and struggles of things that happened in the past. Today's struggles are nowhere near compared to what actually happened back then. And I'm not saying that racial things don't happen today, but I'm also not saying that it is anywhere near this level of animosity towards white people. Any person who has animosity towards any race is racist. That's all I can say. Anyone who has animosity towards another race is racist. Whether they are white, whether they are black, whether they are Asian, doesn't matter. Native American, I don't care. I am Native American and Spaniard, and I don't really care about racial inequality being represented in a cartoon. It's a cartoon. It's animation. I don't want to see this in a kid's show. It's supposed to be fun, lighthearted, and just creative. Let kids enjoy shows for what they are, just entertainment. And that's it. That's all. I don't like snapping this way. It's just like I want to see cartoons have hope again. I want to see symbols of hope, not animosity towards races. It's becoming ridiculous, and it's becoming an irritation that I know many people can't stand anymore. The episode closes by renaming the town Emilyville, after a former slave on Smith's plantation who was eventually freed. But this isn't the only critical race project that Disney is currently baking on its streaming service. Hulu, another Disney-owned streaming service, is currently promoting the 1619 Project docuseries, an often debunked notion that the Revolutionary War was fought in large part to preserve slavery. I'm not even going to look into this. I'm done reading the article. Disney hopes to corrupt the minds of impressionable youth in hopes that one day they will reject American values, making it easier for government authorities to take them, such as the First, Second, and Fourth Amendments. My eyes just blurred everything there. Anyway, what do you think about poisoning the minds of children through their television shows? I'll tell you what I think. I think that people need to realize that these shows are not obviously good for children, and if parents need to monitor what their children watch, or they're going to have a generation of kids who will not fight for their country, who will not stand up for what is right. I have people in my family who have served in the military. I was a military brat myself, and it was not something that I enjoyed, seeing people in today's time frame, today's era, and I'm only 29. People my age I've met who hate American values. I mean, look at Superman. He represented all the American values: truth, justice, honor, nobility, loyalty. It's like there are so many things that American people need to realize. The country may have been flawed. It may have its issues. But at least we have freedom. We have the right to choose. We have all the amendments available to us, and they're slowly being taken away. People need to stand up for their country, and they need to love that they are an American. There are people who come here from other countries to live here. Obviously, America is a great country. And obviously, sure, like I said, there are issues in the justice system and issues that are going on right now. And so I pray that this nation finds its footing and regains its truth, and the only truth that I embrace, and it's that we are Americans and we need to be proud of it. And we need to fight for our country. We need to fight for the amendments that we have. Anyway, I'm done being political here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please do not watch the Proud Family series. I mean, it's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but personally I'm not going to watch it, and my sister doesn't watch it. I'm not going to let her watch it, and well, anyway, that's all I'm going to talk about in this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel. Ring that bell icon to be notified when I post new videos. I'm going to be posting more shorts, more drawing videos soon. Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been Create TV. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.